20 win as a group. And, it was I felt like it was a win we earned with how we prepared and how we produced. As I said on my post game, it was the first two games we didn't really play basketball. We gained experience, and last night we played basketball, and we're a much better team for it. So I've said all along I like our team. We just got to keep growing and getting better and having more and more experiences. And last night was one of the good ones.
Excellent. And maybe a little bit on looking ahead to Wake.
Yeah. Wake obviously is a team that we played recently, and I watched their game late last night. They had with NC State. It's a team that plays really hard. They're very different than Syracuse, and obviously having beaten us a little bit ago, that taste is still in our mouth. I thought defensively we were solid for about 30 minutes the last time that we played, but it was not so solid towards the end of the game. And then offensively, we didn't do what we do. We didn't move the ball. We didn't move ourselves. We didn't shoot well. So hopefully we've grown a lot from them. But, they remain who they were then. They've got three sort of very, very consistent threats. And then with a fourth being Scruggs, who can really shoot it. So they're a well pieced together team with a lot of experience. And we'll have to play much better than we did the first time.
Okay. Any question? Lawrence, why don't you go ahead first?
Yeah, Coach, which way, good afternoon. How are you doing today? In what ways do you feel like your team has grown in the last couple of days, especially in the game against Syracuse, that will help them prepare for the matchup on Sunday?
I spent about with a very young team, especially a team that hadn't played together with, not a lot of pieces that came back from a year ago. We spend most of our preseason on the defensive end, building our foundation there, building our principles, solidifying how we're going to rotate, how we're going to guard, and all that. And so didn't spend enough time on the offensive end because, again, wanting to build this the right way. And, we made a shift after after Miami that, they've proven it now that defensively we know what we're supposed to do and we're willing to do it. And so they've given me the freedom to now shift to the offensive end. And after only 2 days, you saw the growth that we were able to make. So we're going to continue to work on the offensive end to make the same steps that we made defensively to be improved. And, we'll just doing that. I think we'll just continue to get better and better and better. But I guess I can give you a little more detailed. I think, we got to move the ball better. We didn't move the ball the first two games. The ball kind of every time, everyone who took it, who had it, tried to think about how they can help the offense. So it wasn't selfish. It was more just a lot of people trying to solve the problem as opposed to understanding that the more the ball moves, the more it works itself out. So we really stress ball movement, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, happy holidays then, crew.
Yeah. Anybody you want to shout out from the game last night?
I think, obviously our older guys played better. Petra and Janielle played better. Steph's going to be there for us soon, I can guarantee. But, and we just moved it better. We have great depth if the ball moves. If it doesn't, then you have to be really skilled because you're playing against a set defense all the time. So we're going to continue to grow. But Janielle was the senior we expected and needed. And then, of course, I thought Deja continues to grow with her pace, which is super helpful. And then, Petra shot the ball well and just was more shot ready. She was more willing to be aggressive on the catch. And then everybody moved better. So we got the ball in our hands at attack spots versus reset spots.
A little bit more on Janielle. What sort of progress have you seen in her from last year to this year? Like, how has she grown as a player?
Janelle's much more mobile. So last year we had two bigs, her and Malou, and neither one of them were really able to guard on the perimeter. She's able to switch around. She understands angles defensively, but but now she has the athleticism and quickness to do a better job of defending on the perimeter. And then offensively, I think she's starting to find her face-up game, which she was just looking to pound people to start the season. And I think her game is actually more of a finesse game with a power element versus just a power player. So I think she's playing to her strengths a little bit more. And she's leading a young team. I mean, not just in age, but in experience. And so she's been patient, and I appreciate that.
want to ask about one of the challenges coming into the season is mixing the veterans with the freshmen. And you started 3 freshmen for the first time last night. Are you kind of edging toward the freshmen at this point, or is it just in progress and ever changing?
It's kind of in progress, ever changing, and I've kind of been coaching long enough that I've done it kind of all ways. We've had an ever going, an ever evolving roster. We've also had, last year I started the same lineup the entire season. So, I think this group, as we continue to grow, that might sort itself out. But, with having one sharpshooter in and one sharpshooter off the bench doesn't hurt. And then having the length and speed matchups being different too. So I think I don't know. I don't know who's starting on when we play next Sunday. We haven't practiced yet today. So we'll sort of reevaluate after practice today, and then maybe have to reevaluate again after practice tomorrow. But, obviously Petra didn't start yesterday and played just fine. So I think it's just going to be ever evolving as we figure out what the other team, what their strengths and weaknesses are and how we can combat that throughout the game.
JB, did you have a question?
How you feel from Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I'm in I'm a little busy right now, but
Yeah.
I did want to get a question in, Coach. I'm JB Rich from Spectrum News. Thanks so much for taking out this time. I just wanted to ask you about the win last night over Syracuse. With them being ranked and how dominant you guys were in that win. I mean, what can you take from that, for your team as far as, the confidence that it will be for them to build off of moving forward, as we get into the meat of the ACC schedule?
Yeah, it's a good question. And that's what it does, is it gives you some confidence, right? I have a pretty good sense of where we are and in terms of where we need to go and how good we can be and how good we are. But these are student athletes that are looking at the scoreboard and they're looking at their record, right? And so a loss hurts them maybe differently at times than it hurts me, because I sort of can see the big picture. And so for them to be validated in terms of their effort and in terms of how much progress they've made on both sides of the ball was one of those, like, you needed it kind of moments for them, and so, I told them after the game, I'm just so happy for them, because I sort of didn't need that to see how good we've been getting. But I think they did. And so now they did. And so I think that helps with the confidence, and this group will continue to be eager. I don't have to worry about that.
And I know things are really crazy right now with COVID and all that, but how excited are you about the level of competition that we're seeing right now here in the Triangle, in college women's basketball?
Yeah, it needs to be good. As someone who is a basketball lover, Duke, NC State, and North Carolina have to be good. And we've inherited programs that have been good, and the Triangle is the mecca of college basketball, and it will only continue to be the mecca of college basketball if we ensure that it is. And I think the changes that have happened in the Triangle, we're highly motivated to get back. I think there's enough good players that all 3 can be in the top 10. I think it's a super exciting. We're all different. We all have a unique perspective. We're all have a different level of experience, what we bring to our institutions. Our institutions are different. So there's just a lot there. And we use it in recruiting all the time. I think the Triangle it's good to be a beat writer. It's good to be TV. It's good to be local TV in the Triangle. I think it will only continue to be so moving forward.
Lawrence, do you have another question?
Thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, you're looking good, man.
Yeah.
Coach, how hard is it to focus on the big picture and to plan for the future when games are constantly shifting?
Yeah, it's a unique year, right? I started with the Syracuse game by saying, I think we're playing Syracuse tomorrow, right? That's kind of how it goes. But every opportunity that this team gets a chance to play, I'm pumped, because that's what we need. We need game reps. We need the valuing the possession reps. We need the consequence reps. We need all of it, right? And so there's a level of I tell them, there are athletes that are routine, that are habits of routine, and then there are athletes that are competitors. And I'll choose a competitor all day over someone who needs things a certain way. And so I think it's actually, hopefully it's harder on the staff than it is the players, because our scouts are constantly changing and evolving, and that's really hard. So I am looking forward to Sunday at about 4:00 when I can just take a break for a second, just to breathe. I've been just constantly preparing for teams. But yeah, I think it's again, it's either you're into routine or you're into competition.
Cool. Thank you.
On a normal year, obviously, after the Wake Forest game, everybody would go home for Christmas and then reconvene for Syracuse. Is it any different now because of the pandemic?
Not really, to be honest. So our kids have been here since July 1st, and they've been here without interruption. And so we've had this real bubble. It's been obviously very tight. The kids have done a really good job. And it's a sport where you're used to playing over 2 semesters. At the same time, these are 18 to 22-year-olds, and I'm a mom, and to not have my kids home for the holiday would be really hard. And so for me as their coach to tell them you're not going home for the holiday, it's different if they had gone home because of a COVID outbreak or we had started later. Had I known that this is how it was gonna go, I wouldn't have brought them back in July. And so no, yeah, they're gonna break our bubble after Wake Forest, and we're gonna do it very thoughtfully. And we're gonna continue to maintain our expectations and our travel protocols and things like that. But yeah, as the mom in me, it's really hard for me to separate that home is where the heart is, and sometimes that's really good for your mental health. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different because they're wearing actually they're wearing additional support, and have different guidelines that they have to follow than usual, but they will not be in their dorm room on Christmas and through the next couple of days.
And winning comes at 2 levels. It seemed during the pandemic. Like Mac Brown talked about the football team, they haven't had a lot of issues since the summer, and not to jinx it, so far it's gone well for you all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, winning to get to the game is a challenge, I assume, as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, these kids have had to do something really unique. This is not, as I tell my young guys, I know you thought college was supposed to be cooler than high school, and I promise you it is. It's just not this year. Right. And so think about them. They were looking, first of all, they had their life since March has been really different. And then they come to college and they're all excited. They're coming to Carolina. And then they're told they can't leave their dorm room except to come to practice, not even to go to class. They can't meet anybody. They can't socialize anybody. They can't date anybody. They just sort of are living in their bubble. Right. That's a really hard thing to do. And then if I was going to have to walk in and say, and you're not going home for Christmas, like at some point sport is it can't be more important than their well-being. Right. And so, but yeah, it's just getting to games, them maintaining the expectation that we have is how we travel, it's an enormous distraction. But I'm so grateful that the amount of money that the universities and the ACC and that the NCAA is putting forward to allow this to happen is really remarkable. And we're so grateful for it.
Thank you.
Chris, did you have a question?
You're on mute, bud.
Am I not muted now? How about that?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me turn myself up. I was just in another podcast. Can you hear me now? I apologize.
I can. Yeah, loud and clear.
So I'm sure you probably watched the State Wake Forest game in preparations for this one.
Of course.
State did looked like they did a really good job on frustrating Ratza, going 2 for 11. What did you pick up from that? And it just seemed like that they were just stayed steady on her. What did you really see from that, and what will you implement on Sunday? Yeah,
so our first game with them, you'll have to look back, but I think she only had 2 in the first half against us as well. So I thought we did the same thing. And then, of course, that didn't continue through the second half when we were unable to make shots. That sort of slowed us down defensively. But, they didn't send much help. They asked Jakia Brown-Turner to guard her. And Jakia Brown-Turner is one of the very best players, I think, in our country. And so she really man-to-man shut that down herself. We probably will need to have a little bit more help to do it. And then also they are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 deep, and Wake is not, and they just utilize that, with their pace and with their spread. And so they play like the better team for sure. We're built somewhat similarly, and then also really differently. So we kind of have to win our own way. But it was a fun game to watch for sure.
Yours was as well.
No, thanks. I don't know about that. I have to admit, I'm never watching it again. I watched it one time and I'm not watching it again.
Anybody have anything else? JB, your hand is up, but I think that's just still up.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't take it down.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm done with my questions. Thank you.
Hope the haircut went well. If everybody else is good, then we'll wrap it up.
All right, guys. Happy holiday, everybody.
Happy holidays. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, guys.